Most petrol heads get a little thrill every time a new hypercar gets announced. And why wouldn't you? They're the fastest, most advanced, most exciting, most everything cars out there. I mean, look at the Bugatti Mistral. 8-litre quad-turbo W16 motor, 1,578 horsepower, 1,600 newton meters of torque, 261 top speed, 0 to 60 in, and a ticket price of over 4 million quid. Or what about the Hennessy Venom F5? It gets a 6.6 litre turbocharged V8 with more than 1,800 horsepower and can do, in theory, 300 miles an hour. Only 99 Mistrals will be built. Hennessy, 50-ish, which is just nuts. These are high-end machines for a very select few, aimed at those people who want the best from life. These are slices of top-end engineering that some of the smartest people in the world spent thousands of hours creating. And you know what? Sometimes I just don't get the point of them. I don't. Let's take a look at typical hypercar figures. They easily breach 1,000 horsepower, which, let's be real, is a bit much. These things are regularly more powerful than F1 cars, and they're designed to do 250, 300 miles an hour. But where the hell are you actually going to be able to do that kind of speed? Last time I checked, speed limits are still a thing all over the world. You think you're going to get away with that on the Autobahn? Good idea, in theory, but have you actually been on one recently? You could be on your way to over 200 and there'll be some guy in a 316 compact who decides they want to overtake the diesel Insignia ahead of them. Without looking, they'll pull out and then you've got a very expensive phone call to make. You could play on the M1 at 3 in the morning if you fancy the taste of jail food, but apart from that, what is there? Your next option might be track hire. But again, you're gonna need a runway long enough to stop a space shuttle. Literally, Hennessy used the landing strip for the space shuttle at Kennedy Space Center to test the Venom F5, and even then, they could only get up to 270 miles an hour. When Bugatti broke the 300 mile an hour barrier, it needed to use its top secret, ultra private test track in Germany, which included a 5-mile straight. 5 miles, flat out. Where are you gonna get access to that in the real world? But that's top speed. Acceleration is arguably a bit more useful, more power, more 0 to 60, right? Not really. You see, the Venom will do 0 to 62 in about 2.6, and that's the same as an Aventador, which has half the power, and that's because you can't put the power down. I'm gonna pick on the Hennessy for a bit longer here, but you can say the same thing for literally any of these things. That Venom won't give you full power until you're doing over 140 miles an hour. So most of the time, you don't actually have an 1,800 horsepower car. Even if you buy the thing, you might never get to know what 1,800 horsepower feels like. But at least you can pack a couple of bags and go away for a long weekend with a mate, right? No, you can't. The Zenvo Tsr-s, that Danish 1,700 horsepower monster with a stupid wonky wing, that has a 135 litre boot. That's barely more than a Lotus Elise. And here's the thing about that car. We booked one in for the channel to shoot it, and Zenvo cancelled the shoot because the weather was too cold. How cold? 17 degrees Celsius. They were worried the tyres wouldn't provide enough grip in t-shirt weather. And that's just the normal side of practicality. You can't actually see out of the damn things anyway. That Zenvo doesn't have a rear mirror, and it's got a terrible reversing camera. Have you ever tried to look out of a Bugatti's rear windows? Yeah, good luck, Hawkeye. I'm gonna pick on that Zenvo for a bit longer. These things tend to be flashy for no reason. Look at that rear wing on that car for a start, right? It kind of moves left and right depending on your direction of turning. But again, if that was so useful, why wouldn't it be on other cars? It's nonsense. Hypercars tend to be massive as well, which means fitting them down, I don't know, any normal street is gonna be a challenge. Parallel parking them with tiny, useless wing mirrors and big, delicate rims, you're gonna be clenching every part of your body, trust me on this. All of that is a sideline to the real issue, which is no matter which way you dress it up, they're incredibly wasteful dinosaurs. And I'm sure this is about the time when keyboard warriors are gonna crawl out from their pits and start shouting about greenwashing and all that stuff, but come on, really? An 8-litre W16 engine in 2023? Nah. A Chiron will get 12.5 miles per gallon if you drive it like a nun, which you won't. Remember that old Veyron statistic? At full chat, it will drink a full tank in 12 minutes. That's a range of 50 miles. most of which you're gonna spend getting up to speed. The other thing is that petrol engines aren't gonna be around for much longer, so the excuse of it aids development for normal cars is just BS. Most of the time, they just buy a crate engine and stick in a couple of turbos anyway, so how much engineering does it actually require to build one of these things? You're paying millions for old tech to get something you can never actually use, and if you do use them, then the value drops like a stone, which means most of the time people never even pull them out of the garage. They're a multi-million-pound paperweight. Now, I am quite aware that I've not talked about future hypercars like EVs, the Nevera, the Battista, the Evija, all 2 million quid, all electric, and all similarly irrelevant when you think about it. The only thing they do better is not chew up as many fossils, and they're quiet, so your neighbors won't complain as much about a cold start. Other than that, they make literally no sense as well. Now, I do see the irony here. I personally love supercars, the ones that do 200 miles an hour, Lambos, Ferraris, Astons, and you could use the same logic about these cars. When would you ever get to use that power, you might say? You could argue that hot hatches are too powerful and too fast as well. If the speed limit is 70 miles an hour, why are cars being made faster and faster? What we need to remember is that these cars have usable power. You can take them to a track, you can make the most of them, you can reach 200 miles an hour on a circuit because that's possible. You can hire those places to match the capabilities of those cars. It's all the 250, 300 mile an hour stuff that I personally question. They're stupid, they're expensive, they're limited, they're rude, they're noisy, they're unpleasant, and they're ultimately unnecessary. There is one crucial thing that I have overlooked though, something so important that it can't go unsaid. They're actually also really, really cool. And that does make up for a lot of sins. Would you say no to a go in a Bugatti? Yeah, me neither. It's a love-hate relationship. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are hypercars, and again, this is all the 250, 300 mile an hour, 1800 horsepower stuff that I'm talking about, totally unnecessary? If you had the cash, would you buy one and would you use one? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.